with MakingStarWars.net.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm just trying to get my invites here to the chat set up because we're kind of rushing here. There's some pretty big news that broke. That's pretty cool. And that's that we have a director for Star Wars Ahsoka. I'll share my article that I just wrote. Got up. As soon as I thought I was done for the day, they pulled me back in. Not sure if anyone will be joining me today or not. Such short notice, but let's see what happens. So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse's Peter Ramsey to direct Star Wars Ahsoka. So, The Hollywood Reporter is reporting Peter Ramsey has been hired to direct at least one episode of Star Wars Ahsoka. The series is about to begin production officially, and work has been well underway the last few weeks at Manhattan Beach with costume fittings and so on. It's what I talked about earlier today. The question is, will Peter Ramsey direct more than one episode? And what is the official number of episodes for the series? It would be a logical assumption that Dave Filoni will direct at least one episode of the series. Then again, we assumed Jon Favreau would direct some of the first season of The Mandalorian, and he didn't. But he directed season 2's first episode, and it was stellar. But I'm going to assume Filoni is hungry to direct and will. You know, he hasn't got to direct that much live action. I assume it's a dream of his to do live action work. So I'm going to assume he's going to be directing on this, since Ahsoka is like a character he helped create. So we probably know at least two directors for the series so far. The Hollywood Reporter also says that Jon Favreau is producing the series with Dave Filoni, so they could both be directors as well. So the Hollywood Reporter writes, the director, who became the first Black filmmaker to win the animated feature Oscar as co-director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, has been tapped to direct at least one episode of Ahsoka. And then I should have cut that off, but I didn't. I'm rushed. I really dig, I go down and say I really dig that, Peter's work in Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know what he directed and what he didn't of the Spider-Verse, but the whole movie's good. So, excuse me. So that's exciting. And also the fun little fact I learned from the article is he was a storyboard artist on things like Fight Club and Men in Black as well. So that's kind of cool. Not exactly the Dave Filoni path to becoming a director, but Dave Filoni also kind of has an interesting path to working on Star Wars as well. So I thought that there's kind of some similarities there, although differently. But they're both coming out of animation and art. And then now they're both directing Star Wars, which is crazy. And then the THR also reminds us that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ukrainian actress Ivana Sakno, and Australian thespian Natasha Liu Bordizzo are on the call sheet, with Hayden Christensen reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker and Ray Stevenson playing a mystery villain. So, sounds pretty cool to me, I'm excited for it, but I just wanted to get that news out there before I got too far out here. Oh, and we have Rob for a few before he has to go sneaking around doing Rob stuff. So yeah, it's just, are you familiar with this work before? It turns
Spider-Verse.
Yeah, were you familiar with him? Like, did you know who he was? I turns out I know a bunch of stuff he's done. I just didn't know it was the same guy.
Yeah, I knew his name from Spider-Verse. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't know Lord Miller didn't direct Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
they produced it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. And I think that this is what's really exciting about this for me is I think Star Wars is way more suited to animation and animators and directors of animation than live action directors. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Like, Lucas thinks like an animation guy, Like,
he always says I came out of animation. He kind of did. It's a bit. It's a bit.
And
of
Jim Henson goes, "Sure, Jam."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I forgot to turn my lights on. Yeah, there is. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, dude.
I feel that In Time, the film that Jim Henson made, if you've never seen In Time, is the kind of thing that if Lucas and him met at the same time, they would have been doing together or making a lot of stuff like that. You know, which is this mixture of sound and animation and weird live action bits and strung together. But it's just it's very of the late 60s, right? Like
yeah. It's kind of cool that Ramsey didn't they weren't like, oh, you were the Spider-Verse guy. Hey, how about you come and cut your teeth on the Bad Batch season 3? I'm glad that they're like, no, how about you come and do some live action Star Wars here. That's kind of good, because I think he and Filoni, I was kind of saying, they kind of have a lot in common in a way in terms of the industry coming out of animated shows and then out of art, and then sort of, I don't like to say graduate, because I think that's like belittling to the fields.
Oh, 100%. That was a Twitter issue this weekend with them bringing up that story too, right?
What?
That Lord and Miller were talking at the BAFTAs that, you know, they get that whole one day maybe you felt like kind of like a real movie, like that shit that they would get, you know, maybe one day you'll get to make something real, like, all right, you know. Yeah, because look, I love Tombstone, but you know what I mean, like let's compare to how hard that's to make versus Mitchell versus the Machines. Like, it's way more difficult, you know, like it's not even remotely close. So
yeah,
this is
no,
exciting. He also directed Rise of the Guardians. Now that was a movie that tanked DreamWorks Animation, and I first saw going, is generic bullshit.
Is that the Owl movie?
It's with all the Christmas people. Like, there's the Russian Santa and Jack Frost and all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
But when we first moved to Idaho, we were looking for new furniture, so I had to go to like all those like Moores and, you know, those like furniture places. And every time I'd go in there, Rise of the Guardians was playing for whatever reason. So for a whole day, I kept watching. I'm like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would. Like, this is actually, like, the animation style's not my thing, but it's actually a pretty decent little flick. You know, like, it didn't deserve the hate, you know. So that's where his name sort of popped on my radar first, and then with Spider-Verse I was like, oh shit, you know.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'm assuming that Dave Filoni is going to direct some of it. In fact, it's me making an assumption.
First and last.
I mean, that's what you would think. But like I said, we thought that about Mando season 1, that Favreau would direct at least one of those too, and he ended up not doing anything until season 2. But in this instance, we do have Favreau doing the same role as he did on those other series too with Filoni. So I think we are probably, I think we're probably going to see Dave Filoni directing more on this one than you would expect.
He has to.
He created, that's like his character.
If it has to be the first time Thrawn appears, he has to direct that episode. It's such a Filoni, for Filoni not to do it. But I mean, Ahsoka's like the character he brought to life, and then also on top of that was just run into the ground with. Remember when the Clone Wars movie came out, and like they were just like, they hated Ahsoka. So for him to like go from 2008 to this in 2022, that's a fucking huge win as a creative. That's a big, like, that's like a long journey, but a huge win. I mean, Ahsoka's already been back, and she's already been in live action, so it's not like exact, but still, to me, he directed the episode Cad Bane. He knows how to direct Blue Aliens. Like, I'm just saying, Jason. I'm doing a little fan math here.
Yeah.
The inevitable Dave Filoni direction of Thrawn. It's inevitable.
Hold on. So the fan math is, if I take like a really beautiful woman and an octopus and I kind of put them together, Dave Filoni,
you just got 30% of all anime. Do we not understand this?
And Dave Filoni comes out of animation. It all makes sense.
I love me some hentai. Hentai seems like a word they would have used in Star Wars if they knew they could get away with it.
Imagine Dave Filoni's assistant brings him. He's like, here you go, dude. Here's your lunch. And he's like, this is Thai food. I said hentai. I want hentai for lunch.
Look, that is such a Larry David thing. How has that not happened yet on Curb? I said hentai. She got me Thai. I want a hentai. I'll take both. It's pretty good. It's both pretty good.
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Joel says Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie. You know, I don't really have like a huge dog in the fight, but it's definitely one of my favorite ones for sure. For big time. Oh, and a happy belated birthday to James. It was his birthday yesterday. James is 22 years young today. Yesterday. Soundwave says, yo. We should always read his voice like that. Yo. Bro. No. Joel says, we know Rob likes his blue aliens. That Avatar loving son of a bitch.
Meanwhile, Joe Williamson has one of those little mouse pads with that blue Twi'lek aliens tits.
Right look right here. Junk box.
Sure.
Do you think this is in response to Chris Miller and Phil Lord's comments about how animators need more respect? No. it's likely a good cosmic coincidence.
Yeah, but I think because of the BAFTAs, and I think the rap. Did the rap break this? Who broke this?
The Hollywood Reporter.
Hollywood Reporter. So they're schmoozing. They're in a room full of animators. And, hey man, let me Peter Ramsey's directing. Oh yeah, and then you get it from like 5 other fucking people with some drinks. You know.
Me and Bespin were playing Fortnite just now. We're like hanging out, you know, and then I got the message from Chris Spreezy, and he was like showing me the link, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, so you want to see this? He's like, yeah. And he's like, so I said, I think you're going to do an article. I was like, yeah, I think so. You going to do an article? And then he's like, yeah, I think so. All right, bye.
It's like, you imagine I mean, that would be a funny scene in a new Ghostbusters movie where the kids are playing, you know, like, I guess we'll, we should do.
Sorry, it was that was actually what I was saying. Like we were like down the fire pole. So yeah. But yeah, I like this idea. It kind of relates to our discussion earlier in the week. I have about 15 more minutes until I have to go get my kids from school. So I'm not sure how long you have.
I got 5 minutes.
You got 5 minutes? Okay. We'll
wrap this up.
We'll wrap this up in 5 minutes then. It'll be a short bonus episode for the Ridley Day. But we were talking earlier about, you know, about young directors. And when we say young, we don't necessarily mean age. We mean experienced in that way. Yeah. And the idea that they're bringing in the Spider-Verse dude to live action Star Wars and Ahsoka, I think this is the kind of places where we want to see these people cutting their like teeth. And I think all of this stuff ends up over time giving us a lot of directors who could bring live action Star Wars to a screen in big motion pictures at the motion picture show.
I would like to see Brenda Chapman get a shot if they offered it to her. She was one of the co-directors on the original Prince of Egypt film back in the day.
Okay.
And she was supposed to be the sole director of Brave until Pixar ran her out. You know?
And didn't Kathy Kennedy produce that?
I do not know. It's a good question. But Brenda Chapman would be on my list of handing some Star Wars to big time.
Yeah,
big time.
What was the movie called?
Brave. But Brave. She also co-directed back in the day, you know, Prince of Egypt. Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt. Yeah. That's the one I want to see. I think Kathy Kennedy may have produced that. Let me see. Let me see if that's true, because that's a really good, really kind of almost irrelevant, but I'm just getting whatever. We don't have the time for this shit. But it definitely there's definitely a lot of directors that I'd love to see. I'm glad that we're getting this one. Hopefully it's for more than one episode. I got to be honest with you. When the person is like, when you don't know, I'm okay with there being the one. You know what I'm saying? When you just don't know what to expect. But I think with Ramsey, we know it's likely going to be great. So I'm kind of hoping that that maybe it's doing more. But I'm also curious as to how many episodes it is. Is this a 6-episode series? Is this an 8 episode? Is it a Mando or is it a Book of Boba?
It's 2.
It's 2.
We didn't tell you.
It's 2, but they're like 3 hours each.
It's quality over quantity. Mm-hmm.
This is Thai food. I ordered hentai.
I ordered hentai.
I like the idea actually that I like the idea more that he takes a bite and then spits it out and says he ordered. It's like,
look, when you do it though, you got to have vocal fry when you say hentai. It's the only way it works. Gotta do it.
I can't do it right now. I can't do vocal fry right now. We've talked too much today. But have a good day, fellas. Spider-Verse is dope. Let's hope he is the strongest leg of the tripod. Yeah, I agree there. And it would be great if, honestly, ultimately, if Favreau, Filoni, and Peter Ramsey are directing Ahsoka, that's like a best case scenario. But if they have other fresh names, I'm always down for some fresh Star Wars. So, yeah. Well, dude, enjoy the old movie, whatever.
The old hedgehog.
The old hedgehog. Don't get sick. Wear your mask. Put your mask back on after you put your popcorn in your mouth hole.
I have the material that the KN95s are made out of in this thing that seals, and then inside there, I cut up other K95 filters and put them in there. So I got like 7 of these fucking things.
Really?
So yeah, it's still easier to breathe than it was in the military with the pro mask.
I have another set of lips. And so when I'm walking, I'm actually just French kissing something the whole entire time. It's really gross. It's really creepy and weird. Yeah.
You look like size noodles.
All right, everyone. We'll see everyone Monday. Yeah, Monday, right? Monday?
See you Monday, pig.
Monday. Yeah. It's the end of the show. It's the end of the show, Rob. Bye. See you Monday.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.